Let's pray first. Why don't we do that? Lord, thank you so much for a good day. Lord, we pray that you would help this be a blessing to everyone, including myself, Lord, and that we would learn and grow together and be everything that you've created us to be and the best at it, Lord. We thank you so much and pray for a good evening in Jesus' name. Amen. First thing, we're going to do a quick icebreaker.
Oh no.
So we'll start with Tim. Okay. Tim told me to look at ChatGPT, so I did.
See, you're getting what you asked for.
If you were a pizza topping, which one would you be and why?
If I was a pizza topping?
Yeah. No, pineapple doesn't count as a joke.
That's a good question.
Why are you looking at me when you say that?
Oh, I just said that there.
Oh.
Only one?
Huh?
Only one topping?
Yeah, just one topping. What's it?
I don't know. Sausage, I guess.
All right. Why?
Why?
Because he's
I
spicy.
can be a little spicy.
Nice, okay.
I haven't seen that yet.
I have. I saw it today.
Oh no.
Go ahead, Nathaniel.
Pepperoni.
Pepperoni, why?
Not
I
flat.
like to strive to be well-rounded.
Oh, I do know
Medium,
this
a little bit
of Chris?
Cheese.
All right.
Because I cover everything and have a lot of flavor.
Nice. All right.
Sopressata.
Nice.
It's meat. No, well, I looked it up earlier because it was on the pizza I had, and it's kind of sweet and kind of spicy.
Okay, that matches. That
Olivia?
adds up.
I was gonna say cheese. And I don't know why, but that was the first thing that came to mind.
All right. Kind of stringy.
So you give some to the Not everybody likes
I think not because you said it a second ago, but I think pineapple because I'm really annoying when you find it on your pizza, but I'm kind of sweet as well.
Nice.
Pineapple is
Ashley?
amazing.
I'd probably say Parmesan cheese, like the extra you put on top, because I'm a little extra needy.
I like it.
All right.
garlic.
Garlic.
Because it's hot and spicy.
Nice.
She fights back too.
Nice.
Bacon.
Bacon.
Mmm.
Salty and always great.
All right.
American.
Tell no lie.
I was gonna go with pepperoni, but I'll go with jalapeno.
Ooh. Oh.
I don't have a reason.
Joe?
Jalapenos.
I was gonna say cheese because I hold everything together.
Yeah. There you go. All right. All right. Seth?
Say ranch.
Oh, the dipping sauce.
Tastes better with
Yeah. All right, man.
I was gonna say pizza sauce.
Okay.
Just because you don't really see it, but you know it's there.
You can't really have pizza without it.
Well done.
Henry?
Banana peppers.
What?
And I don't know why, but I'm going to go with, because
Should-
you don't really want something spicy or just
Banana peppers.
All right, and I'll be, I forgot to think about this one. Probably goat cheese. Not everyone likes them. Not everyone likes it. Okay, something that I felt very important that we've done in work and just relationship in life is that if we're gonna do stuff in a group like this, don't worry, we're probably not gonna get super personal, but stuff like might come out. But as a group in general, if we, not really planning on discuss topics about our lives or things, make sure it's very confidential. Like this is a group that we really want to grow things and do things and be wonderful. Don't, lessons you learn, great, but really make sure that if anything does come out that way that is personal or relational, that it is kept in a group like this. It's for time or a period. Make sure that you keep that confidential. Second thing is, I think trust is important for us to open up. Also, icebreakers are good because it kind of gets us out of our element for a minute. But really, to build trust really comes over a very long period of time. Trust doesn't just happen overnight. But there's things we can do that get you to understand the other person as a human being. And a simple one is, just to kind of, again, some of you don't all know each other, is your name, where you were born, what line, like what number of child you were, and then what was something particularly difficult or challenging in your childhood. Now, for those of you that have parents, don't worry, it's gonna be all right.
So don't bring up parents?
Huh?
So don't bring up parents?
No, I'm
No,
just saying,
your
like,
parents are
got
here.
like 3 people that got their parents here, so they're like, oh man, I don't know.
yeah.
So we'll start with Abby. We'll go this way. Your name, where you were born, what order, where you fall in the family line, and what was particularly challenging or difficult, or maybe really interesting in your childhood if there wasn't. Interesting? Was there an interesting one?
It was, yeah, particularly challenging or interesting.
Either challenging or interesting. There we go. Does sound like somebody. Go
Ooh, I
ahead.
was confused. Wait, you said name,
Name,
age.
where you were born,
Oh, okay.
what order in the family,
Yeah.
and then challenging or interesting.
Abby, and I was Kinsey. Abby Kinsey,
Sorry.
and I was born in Leroy, and I'm the first child. And particularly difficult or interesting. I think growing up I had a really strong desire to do everything right, but because of that I also kind of got maybe good at lying and keeping things a secret, so everyone thought I was doing things right, and it sometimes caused issues, but it was a good thing too.
Okay. So we can't be perfect.
No.
Alright, Ben?
Ben Hookwater. I was born in McBain. I'm the middle child of 9. And something difficult or interesting growing up. I guess I had a really hard time focusing or learning things. I like to be in the outdoors and stuff like that, so schoolwork was always a pain or a chore, so getting over that and really seeing the value in learning was a struggle through childhood and stuff, but
Okay. Seth?
Seth Kellingbeck. No. Was born in Reed City, Michigan. I guess something number 6 in my family, I guess, out of 8. Something challenging, I guess, when I was younger is I struggled with a little bit of dyslexia, and so that made my schoolwork a little different. But learned a lot through that, and it taught me a lot about perseverance and keep going, so that's really good.
Nice. Joe?
Joe Huff. I was born in Greenfield, Indiana. 4th of 7. Probably difficult. I have 3 older brothers, and they were always stronger and tougher and more athletic and better at everything than me. So that was kind of everything was a challenge to try to live up to a standard or something like that. I guess probably the challenging part.
Alright. Steve?
Steve Frederick. I am the youngest of 7 boys. Interesting, challenging. I was born in Flint, Michigan,
Okay.
and being the youngest of 7 and coming from a city area, moving up here, I would say the difficult thing was being completely different than the country people. I mean, I came up here pretty young, but just adapting.
This is our go. Okay. Patient?
Patience Frederick. I was born in Lexington, Kentucky. What was the other one? No, I'm missing. Oh, I'm the youngest of 3. I have 2 older brothers. And I would say difficulty childhood would be my parents were very absent. kind of just not around. So we kind of raised ourselves.
Got it. Ruby? Honey?
Well, I'm Ruby Warner, and I was born in New York, and I am the second of 5, and I grew up Amish. What was challenging? Nobody in the community liked any of us for whatever reason, because we had aunts that were not Amish, and so we were bullied a lot for that. So that was hard. But yeah.
Ashley.
So, my name is Ashley Armstrong. I was born in Lansing, Michigan. I am the oldest of 2. I have a younger sister. Something challenging when I was growing up, my parents had a really rough patch of financial instability, and that was kind of during 2008 and the recession. So they argued a lot, and I kind of resented my mom a lot for it because she threatened to leave the family. But they were just fake threats. But as a 8 to 10 year old, when this was going on, I thought she was for real. So, but we've worked past it. We have a lot better relationship now, so it's all good now.
That's good. I'm Seth Warner.
You just got on the camera.
What? I can't see where I am.
Stop.
Is it too zoomed in? Okay. I'm Seth Warner. I am 19 years old. I am the first oldest of 6.
Yeah,
I think.
7-ish.
7-ish, something like that. I was born in Reed City, and something hard or interesting. I didn't really have a whole lot of friends growing up, and the friends I did have were all girls, and they didn't really like hang out with me until recently. We've started hanging out a lot more, which is nice.
Olivia Kinsey. I'm the second oldest of 8. Right? Yeah. I was born in Leroy, Michigan, and I'm not gonna go into a whole lot of detail, but I went through kind of a rough patch from like 10 to 14 years old, and it kind of messed up a lot of stuff, but yeah.
Catherine?
Are we good?
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to get the camera ready.
Focused.
Oh, I got it. I'm good.
Catherine Stroh. I was born in Big Rapids, and something challenging
What
that.
line do you fall in?
Oh, I'm 6th of 8. 6th of 8. Something challenging that I only recently realized that I struggled with as a child, as I was reflecting on my childhood, is I've struggled to feel like loved, or not because people didn't show me that they love me, because if you know my family, they're way over the top, but just feeling like lovable, I guess. I haven't felt like that. And then to lighten the mood with something interesting, I taught myself how to play guitar when I was 12.
Oh, nice.
I still haven't.
Chris?
Chris Stroh. One of 1. I guess I have a half sister too, but didn't live with her, so just one of 1. Struggle was kind of like a little bit of everything to this point from everybody, minus the country boy town thing. But my mom was is bipolar schizophrenic, so kind of had to like deal with that and do a little bit of raising myself and kind of patchwork things together. But yeah, and then interesting, like light interesting.
You don't have it's one or the other. You don't have to do both.
Oh well, I don't want to like leave it on the negative now.
That's why I said something interesting.
I mean, I was pretty athletic and stuff, and kind of like spent a lot of time sports and doing active things and hunting and stuff too. Nathaniel.
Nathaniel Kinsey, second of 4, born in Edmore, Michigan.
And definitely a challenging thing, which always comes to mind, is getting along with my sister growing up. Brother's no problem. Sister was a brat. But then in our mid-teens, kind of, I was maybe a little bit later teens, she was like mid-teens. It's kind of a tough thing kind of happened, and so she kind of reached out to me for help, security, you know, sort of protection, if you will. And ever since then, she just completely, pretty much stopped being a brat, and we started getting along, and now we're the closest siblings. So yeah, that was a good thing to overcome for sure. And just to kind of go back, you know, it's the things that you remember your dad telling you when you get in trouble all the time growing up is interesting, because one of the things he'd always say is, I'd always say, well, yeah, but she did this and this and this, you know, why did she get away with everything and I'm the one that always gets in trouble, you know? And he would say, you're supposed to worry about you. You don't worry about anybody else, you worry about you. So anyway, that's kind of always stuck with me. So it's helped me in my life a lot. I don't worry about other people. They can be stupid if they want. I'm not responsible for their stupidity or wrong choices. I can love them and help them, but I need to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So anyway.
Talking to us or your kids?
Tim Visser, born in Greater Rapids, second of 4. Interesting difficulty, kind of related to the guys over here. School wasn't a thing for me. I don't know if it was related. I lost hearing in one of my ears when I was a child, so I don't know if that just kind of couldn't hear in school. Always had to sit in the front row. I worked on a dairy farm when I was in 4th grade till I graduated, so I'd milk cows in the morning before school and after, and I had more interest in farming than school. So I'd always leave and get in trouble, and the principal would pick me up and bring me back home. I was a little bit rebellious. I always apologized to my parents because they put me through private school and it cost them a fortune. So I still feel bad about that.
All right. Why don't you swing around and grab Bueller real quick? So we need to know what kind of pizza topping would you be and why?
Pizza topping?
Yeah.
I know.
Everything's taken except crust.
Okay.
Mushrooms.
I would be the cheese because cheese is like what makes pizza good, you know?
Yes. Okay, so next question is kind of the trust builder is, what's your name? What, where do you fall in the family? Like how many people were there, where do you fall? And then where were you born? And what was particular, difficult, or interesting in your childhood?
My name is Beulah. I fall in the middle of the middle. So middle child
Of how many?
of 6 kids. So the younger middle.
Okay.
Difficulty?
Where were you born?
Oh, I was born in New York. And then moved up here in Michigan 5 years after I was born. Maybe one of the most difficult things was I was super shy. So like talking to people was super difficult. I could barely keep on a conversation. But yeah, that's probably one of the most difficult things.
Well, my name is Mark Warner, and I fall number 2 out of 13. I was born in Salem, Indiana, and particularly difficult or interesting probably was actually similar to Seth's, is that I really didn't have friends growing up. My dad was kind of a pastor. When he left the Amish, he was like a pastor of a church, and none of my friends really wanted to hang out with me because, you know, what if the pastor finds out what they're doing or something like that? So that was often difficult, like just kind of a little bit, at least at the younger age. So I always felt kind of alone. And then I had an older sister and 3 sisters below me. So I didn't really have any brothers that were close to me, and all of their friends were always around all the time. So I also had pretty much most of my, not really close friends, but people I interacted with were almost all girls sometimes. So I felt like that's given me challenges in my life to maybe understand guys sometimes, just because that's all the ladies would always just tell me stuff, you know, they'd be like, don't ever treat your wife like that, or whatever. So, you know, if they didn't like something Dad did or something, they'd be like, don't ever do that to your wife. Anyway, so I feel that was a pretty challenging thing for me, and I feel like sometimes it relates into my older life now. Just not being able to relate sometimes, not close to any of my brothers, really not my sisters either for that matter, but. Anyway, so, now it's out of the way. I want you to just understand part of what we're doing is understanding that we're human beings, we have backgrounds, we have challenges, we have things that happen in our lives, and that's great. Those are all the things that you guys face in your life really are the foundation and the ground that has brought you to this point. And you can't get rid of it. You can try to give your children the best life and the best future and do all this stuff. They still have to face the challenges, you know. You might overcompensate for something your parents did, like your parents didn't do that, so you're gonna do way more of that. Well, then your kids don't understand why you're doing that, so then they go the other way. It doesn't really make any difference. So, understanding that we all have those challenges in our lives, we all have history, we all have backgrounds, we all have struggles, but now we're here, and what do we do with it now? And just really wanted to drive into something well, let me start kind of back up a little bit before I get too far ahead of myself. Because I could probably get down. Okay. So, the idea of this vision, I changed it, if you've seen the day, I've changed it, vision to thrive. So vision, thrive, I changed it, it's our vision to thrive. I just put the 2 in there, FYI. Vision to thrive, so it's visionary, having a vision, being innovative, being strategic about what you do, having an impact, being opportunity driven, there's opportunities around us all the time, and to be able to network with people and really understand. So how to just kind of balance that out, so it gives us kind of a complete intentionality about our lives versus just winging it, kind of. You know, things come up and we just kind of wing stuff. Why am I doing this? I want to do this for really to add value to people. Our lives should add value to people. I really believe our lives need to add value to people. So if I've learned things, at least on a low level, I'm not going to say anything I've learned is right. I'm going to work along with you. And I also want to teach people, and I want to add value to people's lives. I really want to do that. Or take the people around me and go, hey, how can I help or lift them up versus just be like, oh, well, you know, I guess it sucks that you're struggling or sucks that you don't like something or whatever. How can I help elevate that? Maybe I can't give money, but maybe I can give you some key points that really help you in your life. And that's something I really have a heart for, and I want to do that. So if you get something out of it, great. If you think I'm dumb, that's fine too. I don't really care. Put into practice things I learned to add value to the people around me, because I see it as a kind of a need. I think, you know, people stumble through certain things in their life. It's like, man, how can we be more intentional with that? I also want to learn how to speak better. And so maybe in the future I'll stand up. I just want to learn how to speak to people, communicate well. I want to understand it. So that's kind of the selfish side of me. I want to learn how to do this. Part of why I'm recording, I want to watch myself and go, Mark, that's stupid. Don't ever talk like that or act like that. And I also,
First course of action, don't say you're stupid.
Sure, perfect. Or my apologies, or I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes.
The last thing is a rising tide raises all ships. So when we raise people up, or when we raise the tide, it raises everybody up. So even when you think about competition or other things in life, we think about this more in business, is that I want other businesses to do well, because that means I'm going to do well. I want other people to do well. I want other teams to do well. I want people to do well. It just makes us all do better. And so that rising tide is really kind of an important aspect to me. The problem or challenge that we are going to address is awesome humans wanting to grow, but not knowing, but awesome humans wanting to grow, but also knowing that maybe you're missing something. Like, man, it's kind of like, where's my life headed? I want to be intentional with my life. But man, just like, I certainly had this question when I first started about 3-4 years ago, and I'll say a little more about it later, get Unleashed CEO. The first question that comes to mind is like, first question that came to mind, I hired this consulting company kind of as a coach, was like, man, I just don't know what I'm missing. Like, I know there's better ways to do this. I know there's better ideas. And so you take action and you go, I need somebody to coach me in this. I'm not that smart. I've never been trained in this stuff. I don't know. I need some help. And honestly, the best athletes have coaches. The best have coaches. How much more do the worst of us need coaches, right? Like, it's so important that the value of a coach in your life or in your business or anything you want to do, because they have an outside perspective often. So I think it's just so good to have coaches in our lives. And I think we miss that opportunity. One of the most important games you're ever going to play is the game of life. Have a coach. Pick somebody that can really just help you and come alongside you. I think is really important. Whether I can be that or not, maybe I can get you on the right track for other people to do that, or just think about it. The proper channel. So awesome humans wanting to grow, but know they're missing something. Shakespeare said, which I don't really read Shakespeare, I like this quote from him, there is nothing more confining than the prison we don't know we are in. We don't even know we're in a prison sometimes. We don't even know that we had a different mindset. Or we don't even know that we had this ability. We just are so used to the bars. We don't even know. There was a story of these mites, and they were able to jump like 3 feet. I don't remember, it was like a ridiculous height. They're just able to jump. So they put them in this container with a lid on it, and they would jump and hit the lid. They would jump and hit the lid, and pretty soon they would just jump just below hitting the lid. And then they had offspring in that can and everything, and then they took them out of it and they put it out, and those mites never jumped over that high. Because it was a mindset. It was bred into them, it was thought into them, and they never can think of. They don't even know that they can do 10 times more, 20 times more than what they were doing. So we often have restrictors on our minds on how to think. And we think we kind of know our life is going great, we think we kind of know stuff, but what about a different perspective? What about realizing there's so much more potential in us? That God created in us, but somehow somebody put us in a little container, or our families in little containers, or our history in little containers, and now we're just like barely jumping. We think it's like the max we can do. How has changed some of those thought processes in our mind? And that's kind of why I did Unleash CEOs. I'm going, man, I just don't see how I can grow. I don't know, like, we're just gonna work every day of my life. Like, I just hate this thought of it. Like, I just know I'm meant for more than this, and I just struggle with that. I was like, I gotta ask somebody, what am I thinking wrong? What am I not thinking right? And then taking action on that when I'm, okay, well, let's take action on it. Certainly you're gonna make mistakes in taking your action. Always. You're gonna make so many mistakes taking your action, but it's much better than not taking action. So don't ever let mistakes in taking action. Sometimes it affects other people, sometimes it does. It's okay, continue taking action. Learn from the lessons, and every time you do that, and keep growing from it. So that's really the problem or challenge that we're going to generally address, and then give you keys how to do that. Biblically, it talks about without a vision, people perish, or without a lack of knowledge, people perish. There's 2 verses that I specifically quoted, but just like, if you don't have vision or you don't have the knowledge, you lack, you perish, you fall short. Life just doesn't really fulfill it. You always feel like there's something you're missing, just not there. Certainly the Lord fills a great place of that in my heart, and I think sure will with you too, but just what you can achieve and overcome is just absolutely amazing. So I want to help instill that vision so that you guys can thrive, or at least help you do that for yourselves with that. What's next? We talked about kind of the committed aspect of it. I'm really not going to make you necessarily do anything, but at the same time, when I talked with my brother Jason, he decided not to join us tonight. I said, hey, why'd you drop out of the group? And he's like, well, you said if it was just going to be a waste of our time, then I'll just quit. And I was like, all right, cool, So if it feels like it's a waste of your time, don't come here and sit. I mean, let's be honest, I really feel that. Like, if you feel like it is, I am not going to put you through something, or help work with you, or do something if you really feel like it's a waste of your time. Honestly, I'm not going to be offended. I really think there's some key points that there's going to be value to. I don't care where you are in your life. And it's not because I'm teaching it. It's because of things I've learned or got from other people. It's not all me. I may put them in slightly different orders, or understood that, or things that I think were really helpful, or things that I think stood out to me. But if it really feel that way, understand that that's okay. And if for him, he doesn't see the value in that right now, it's okay. It's fine. He's going to have to deal with certain challenges in his life, and that's great. We all have to. We've all had these challenges and backgrounds, and we have to see the need for anything we do in our life. So if you don't see the need for it, please feel free to step back from that. Don't. I would like people to be committed, take action. Action is going to come a little bit more months down the road. Some people might just take it, just do all the stuff, and just do whatever they want to do. Great, fine. But really, I want to do this once a month for, say, about the next 6 months. So probably 6 total times. Maybe less, maybe more. If something feels like it's important, we can kind of go from there. Confidential, humble. So if you're having conversations about something, or you see that you're doing so much better than somebody else, or they're doing so much worse than you, understand the humility aspect. Like, oh, check out me, or I've totally learned that lesson. Really use a level of humility and understanding. It's like, oh man, I really can sympathize with that. Have that attitude and heart towards everything we do. Definitely want to be team players in anything we do. Also, you know, if we're doing something or coming up with something, help each other out and really be that. And then lastly, just to be really honest. You know, when you're going through this, we're not going to have a lot of discussion or like just talking among ourselves, but just being really honest. When you're filling out these papers as you're going through, we're not going to fill them all the time. We might hit a few points, but just really be honest with yourselves about how you're really feeling. We're just rushing through and writing some answers down. It's not really going to have the same effect on your life. So really be honest with that. I had briefly talked about it costing something, and I'll discuss this a little bit. Anything that's worth doing, in my opinion, or worth anything, probably is going to cost you a little bit. I'll go back to Unleash CEO, which I did, started I think 4 years ago. I think it's 2020, 2021, I don't remember. And I was like, I've never paid for a coach. I've never done anything. Like, are they just going to charge me and it's going to be this washed up, feel good, you know, I don't know, like I just didn't know what to expect. And I definitely questioned it. But the way it happened is I started being like, Lord, I need some help here. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm missing. Boom. Week later, a friend of mine that I built a house for called me. He's chit-chatting about something. He's like, Mark, I have this buddy that I think you should talk to. He does insurance. Just a stellar human being. I think you need to talk to him. And he goes, even if you don't get insurance, I think the connection for you two is good. So I called him up and I talked with him. And he started talking about insurance. Well, we kind of started talking about business and stuff. He goes, Mark, I got just the people for you. What you need is a coach. And I was like, I was literally just thinking that, praying about it and asking for it. And he introduced me to Unleash CEO. And that's how we even got into it. And I really felt like it was a godsend of just being intentional in my life. And so some of the first things they took us through is, what is your personal identity and vision? And then the second thing was, of course, business related. What's your business identity and vision? So what's your personal goals and what's your business goals? And then the rest of it was really mostly business. But they said it's important to understand that. When I went through the personal side of it, I realized that I had 0 personal goals. And it was extremely hard for me to even come up with who I was or my personal goals. Like I couldn't come up with it. Everything was business, and I still struggle with that even today. Like everything was business goals, business ideas, business. So I start internalizing like, what do I want to be? Who am I? What was I created for? Not what was my business created for. And to this day, I still haven't quite gotten that. I'm hoping to actually get better with that going through this. So I want to work alongside of you guys with this in filling this out and being intentional with it as well, because I see it as a value add to do this again in a more intentional way. But really found out that sometimes we just wander through life, and a lot of times we have dreams from when we're young. Like we're young kids. We've got this like idea of like what we want our life to be like, and you kind of see certain glimpses of it. And you're like, oh, I'd love to do that, or different experiences. Like, man, if I could do that all my life, or if I could enjoy that. Those are things we really kind of like stir up as life goes on. Something crushes that dream, or you fail at something, or disaster strikes, or just so many things happen in our lives. We just kind of go, I don't really care anymore. Or we get to the point of like, you know what, I'm probably not really good at anything anymore. Or you just kind of go, I'm content. I don't really care. I just float through my life and it's pretty fine. You have a pretty wide range. You have the side that's kind of gotten crushed and just been like, I've kind of given up. You've got the middle ground, it's like, I don't really care, life is life. And you've got maybe a younger generally, or people group, tend to be like, I still have dreams, but oh, the crushing that is coming. No, I'm kidding. Like, we need the crushing in our lives, and it's the fertile ground. Like, when you die in the ground is when you produce fruit. But you gotta die. You've gotta, things have to crush you. You take people that are suffered in their lives, the more they have suffered, the sweeter they are. Or very bitter, one or the other. There's no in between. But when you see somebody that just went through incredibly painful things in their life, incredibly painful, and they're just so kind and so sweet, like a beautiful wine. Like, you just see that in people's lives. So you're all going to go through immense pains and sufferings in your life. You've got a lot of life left ahead of you. Some of you might be easier, some of you harder, but the Lord knows what we kind of need to shape our lives. So don't be afraid of those moments. Take them, we can learn them, and I'll give you some keys for it. So anyway, talk about the paying of it. So I paid that first time $10,000, and I thought about lost my mind paying this. I was like, I cannot believe I'm paying somebody $10,000 to tell me kind of how to live my life or business. And since then, I paid them a lot more money because I see the value in it. So as of now, I'm not going to take any money for this class or probably any other class that I'll teach. Maybe in the future I will if I get good at it and it's really helping people. We'll see how that goes. But I would like it to cost a little bit something. And I had briefly mentioned that early on. It's probably $100. It will not be used towards me. We'll pay for supplies, snacks, things like that. And then I'm also going to, as we go through this, put together some unexpected prizes, or maybe a grand prize that money will be given in some way back. And have some ideas of how that's going to be. It'll take a little bit of shape. So I want there to be a little bit of a competition or prize element to it too, if it's something you guys are interested in doing. So if you guys want to continue, that's kind of the ask I'm asking that. First really is vision, strategy, execute, and success. It really kind of follows that. Vision, and then a strategy, and executing it, and then seeing the success come out of it. Okay. I would really recommend, as a side thing, you guys have papers, pencils, and pen. I use it a lot, but I would recommend, I'm starting to do this with my journal, is that when a thought comes to me, like, oh, write it down. Because what happens a lot of times is a thought comes to you, but you also have like 1,000 more that just came, and then that one's gone, and you never really can find it again. So if it's an intriguing thought that comes to you, or a like that really would help people, or help somebody, or help myself, or anything like that, just have a pen and paper with you. Generally speaking, I'm gonna try to really do that. I'm also gonna try it because my handwriting sucks. So I'm going to try to use that.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. I'm going to try to use that to learn to write better. Take my time and write, because I think there's a value add in writing things down. A lot of stuff I'm reading has really been a value add. I would also encourage you, before you dive into this, something that has really is, you really, to add value to who you are as a human being. I hadn't read a book in 18 years. And I thought it was dumb, and I hated reading books, and I was kind of proud of the fact, honestly, I hated reading books. And so when I started Unleash CEO, they're like, you should read this book, and I was like, oh boy, I don't know what to read. So I read this book, and it was like the first book, and I was like, the whole book changed my life. And then the next book changed my life, and the next book changed my life, right? Like the way I was thinking about stuff, it just one after the other, and it was like, there was parts that I was doing, but it was like, vague, you're like, I know what I'm doing, but then it was kind of vague, like you really didn't have an intentionality behind it. So what I found is that reading books has really changed how I think so much, and you can read about all different kinds of topics, all different kinds of things. I would really do that. It'll add so much value to who you are as a human being, what you offer people, how you speak, understanding how to communicate with people, understanding how other people think. There's a huge value add to that. So
do you have a list of?
I have 2 recommended at the bottom of our paper, but yeah, there'll be more that will come out to it, and that I'll try to maybe every week recommend 2. The one was As a Man Thinketh that I had suggested for you guys to read. That I know that the reading or this you didn't like hearing the guy. Now, I have this ability to hear these people, no matter what they say, and get lost in it. I don't know why, but I do.
I told my wife to buy a new book, and I read 90% of it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't, the sentences were on, and I'm just like, I don't even know how to end this.
Yes. I mean, ultimately,
Back to school, right?
Oh, that's
the
true.
what?
Back to school.
I've never seen a sentence with 78 words in
Oh,
it.
wow.
It's actually a very old book, so it's probably why. But I thought it was a very highly recommended book by a lot of people, just to like shape how you think. Like everything that you think ends up producing a result. It does. Out of the abundance of the mouth, or out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh, the Bible says. And just other things, the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he, right? So as you think. So a lot of times our thinking, honestly, is that limiter on the lid.
Right. No, and I got that out of the book.
Yeah.
That was,
It was a while in getting there. So I can completely sympathize with you. And that one wasn't probably the most impactful, but it really just understanding that everything we do is a thought process. It's a thought pattern. And it's amazing, as a man thinketh, so is he, the Bible says. It's a clear path. So it's going to happen how you think. It's you literally have the power, honestly, over your destiny about how you think. Because if you don't think you can do it, you're right. If you think you can, you're right. It's just really the way it is. So, anyway, so the first thing we're gonna do, and then we'll just do this every second Thursday of the month, kind of going from here forward. So first thing is, you'll see on top of your paper, visualize success. 20 years from now, Marv will be 60 years old. Holy crap. So you can put that on the top of your list.
It's kind of funny. In 20 years, I'll be your age.
Yep. And I think it would have been really helpful for me. When I was young, I knew that I wanted someone to teach me about life and things. So I started asking people, like I would see somebody that was kind of successful, or maybe a good husband, or maybe just something else. And I'd be like, dude, would you like kind of coach me and teach me and keep me accountable? They're like, sure, absolutely. The next week they get divorced or something. Just like goofy stuff. Like just crazy goofy stuff. And I think I probably asked 5 people to be like a mentor to me that I thought were great people at the time. Probably poor judgment. But almost without fail, they all just like disappeared, never seen them again, something happened. And I was like, Lord, I really need a mentor here. Like I feel like I'm just struggling through life, and you know, how do I do this? So part of this kind of is out of that. If you see something that maybe you were lacking, maybe you're designed to fill that void. Maybe you're designed to help that. So that's part of what I also see. So what does success mean to me? How am I currently defining it? And really core values. So when you're thinking about success for every one of us is completely different. There is not one of us that has the same definition of success. What does success look like to you? Some people think success purely on money. Some people think success purely on family. Some people think success purely on the house, on so many different things. People have a completely different reality of success. That is completely fine. Your success does not have to be defined by anyone else or anything. The Lord has given you talents. He has given you callings. He is a creator. He created us in His image and likeness. So we should also be creators. So we need to, I think we need to be that. So every one of you have a different term of that. Every one of you have different dreams, different callings, different ideas, different things that you're passionate about. How do we get to that? And certainly you can just go back and go like, what were some dreams I had as a kid? And you kind of wander through that. And we'll get to that in the future. But really, if you're going to look at success and you're looking off in the distance, what's success? You kind of have to have a starting point. So the starting point is, what are your core values? Really understanding what are core values. And you can just arbitrarily write down, you know, I like honesty as one of my main core values. So anybody that's honest around me is going to be great. Or I like faith. And so everything around faith is going to be great. or I like whatever it may be. There may be core values, or I like family, whatever. So you can just arbitrarily write those down because you think they're a high priority for you. Now that may be true, and there probably is, but it's kind of vague in our minds, like, family, integrity, proud, whatever. You just have these vague ideas. So when you're going down here, you wonder how to do it. So here's how to start. This really helped me in learning what our core values were as a company, and I have not personally done this for myself, so I'm gonna work through this myself. So we'll get through probably the core value aspect of it, and then about page 3 on, we'll kind of cover it and I'll kind of talk about it. But really from that point on, you're gonna do it at home, think about it, pray about it, really kind of go through that. But core values are a way, and you can redo these core values when you're at home if you want to redo them, but this is a really great way to do it. First of all, name 3 people you admire, and if you had these 3 people around you, let's say 100 of them, these 3 people duplicated, cloned, you had 100 of them around you, you could overcome anything, take any challenge on, grow any company, live any life you want. You don't have to think business related, just 3 people that if you had them around you, just absolutely, like, they're your 3 people that you just really admire. They can be people you know currently really close, they can be people that maybe are somebody you look up to, maybe even a distant person, maybe somebody you don't even know personally. There's 3 people, if I had those 3 people around me, I could just about do anything in my life. So think about that for a minute, and just write 3 names down. And you don't have to show these to anybody, they can be your own names.
You're just sneaking at my paper. What if we have to think about it?
You can. It's not so critical that you do it tonight. If you want to write a name down or you want to do others, it's totally fine. I just kind of want to take a little bit through the exercise so you have an idea of kind of how we're going through this. Don't put people down just because you think you have to, like, you know, I don't know, like a parent or a spouse, like, I gotta put their name down. Just think about, you know, or girlfriend or boyfriend or something, you know, like think about it and be intentional with it. Like, I gotta write that name down. Well, do you, or, you know, this is not a favorites game, it's just a very intentional thought process. I make such a hard time with their names.
The next one scares me.
Okay, well,
I decided I would not list their names out loud, and I would just.
What happens? Okay, so if you have those names, we can do this now, or you can think about these later. The qualities you want to list. So take the time and write down, and you can do this later. I don't want to take necessarily more time you want, but list down all the qualities you admire about them. So like kindness, faithfulness, like anything you can think about. Just really write it down. Like there's reasons why you wrote those names down there. There's reasons why you did. Now, if you think about the person a little bit, you're like, I really like them because they are X. So try to list like 3 or 4 per person, okay? And we'll skip down to the next one. The next one will be fun. We'll get through the next one. Name 3 people you really can't stand.
Got it.
Now, there is a reason for this, so don't be shy with it, because this is a part of the honesty aspect of it.
You gonna make us share this one?
No, none of you have to share any of this stuff. Maybe an end result, like what are your actual core values when we get to that, but none of you have to share this stuff. This is just you. Because there's reasons why you also dislike these people, or you just don't enjoy being around them. Dislike may be a strong word for some of you, but you just, if I can just not really be around them, I'd be really happy. I said it and can't stand. I can't remember. I didn't hear. Am I gonna have a hard time coming up with one of these? I don't generally just not hate.
Just look at the Democratic committee.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes that's generalized a little bit. Because maybe sometimes big public figures seem like they're harder to, because it's hard to dissect, like, because maybe they're a little more puppets. It feels like it'd be harder to dissect some of that.
That's why I don't like them, because they're puppets.
Right. Sure.
Weak.
Think about a few names later. If you can't finish it, it's fine. So now, once you finish that, this is kind of where you can do it from home. List all the qualities that you don't like. So why specifically don't you enjoy them? Do they lie? Do they exaggerate? Do they say one thing and do another? Like what's the reason? What's the like really bad qualities? Like be very specific in labeling that. The next part is you're going to list all the opposite. So for the people that you didn't enjoy and you label all the terrible qualities about them, you're going to go, okay, lying, opposite is speaking the truth. Exaggerating would be speaking correctly as it is, stating it as it is. So just like the opposites of those things. Because that kind of adds to, there's a reason you don't like it because you like the opposite. So let's say some of the people that you listed that you really enjoy, they may have kindness as one of their things, but maybe they didn't have, but so if you dislike something and somebody else, the three people you picked out may have certain qualities, and then the people you disliked, the things they hated, there's probably also a reason for that. And sometimes they match, like the people that you like the opposite matches with that, but sometimes it's just a random thing. So if you just write all the opposites down, so you kind of, that really solidifies additional values that you have, basically. It's the opposite of all the qualities. I'm gonna have to work on this one a little bit. I won't finish it all tonight, 'cause I have to think about this one a little bit. So if you do, don't worry, I just want to really give you a little bit.
To people I tolerate?
I mean, I suppose. Definitely if you think of the reasons why you don't, then that's fine. You can be judgmental, it's okay, it's kind of hard to just think about people and then write their names down and then write opposites about them. I get that, but for some of you maybe.
The first time we did this, it was really easy.
Was it? I have to kind of think about this because I'm like, I kept randomly naming people, like, I don't know what I went through. I just don't like them because something, I have to kind of think about it a little bit more, so I'll finish this out over the next month too, so. Now, the next portion, section 6, is combine the list. So you're gonna combine the good qualities of the good people and the opposite qualities of the bad people. This will also be the good qualities of the bad people or the opposite good qualities. So you're gonna combine it, because you might have had kindness on that one and the opposite was a kindness. So you would obviously combine kindness. And you're gonna write all the qualities down here. 2 are similar. Your two are kind of similar, like kindness and loving or something. Maybe combine them to one word, kindness or something like that. So in that combined list, you're really just gonna kind of narrow it down, like, okay, the opposite answers and the good answers originally. Is there any similarities there? Just make sure you kind of get a comprehensive list, because some of the opposites may come out different. I don't know how to explain that better. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it. So once you get through that, we're gonna get to 7, and I do explain that there, kind of try to do the best I can is explain that. So if you understand that, we can just keep moving on. Number 7, this is the difficult part, and maybe this is where you need a little bit of help in. This is not a bad idea to engage some help in. Maybe some outside third party, maybe not your family, maybe somebody else. Maybe not your boyfriend or girlfriend, maybe somebody else. The only reason I say that, and maybe you don't need that, maybe you can just answer the questions yourself, is now compare yourself with the qualities you listed above in section 6, compare yourself. So if kindness is one of the qualities, really go in and go, am I kind? If you're not really kind, don't write it on your list on number 7. Really, you may admire it, but you may not be that. So be honest and be very judgmental about yourself. What am I really? Yes, maybe I admire it, but am I really that? Okay.
What if you're that sometimes?
I would make it a pretty consistent thing. Be pretty careful that it's like 75%. We're not all perfect, right? But list it as, this is a really high priority. 75, if it's really high priority, 75 to 95% of the time you're gonna do that. There's times when you're gonna fall out of that, it's understood. But really then list down, is that true? Am I gracious with people? You really admire that about those people because maybe they're gracious towards you, but am I gracious towards people? Or those types of things, so be really judgmental on that. You should really combine, and then, you can kind of combine them. Okay, so you want to combine them. So after you do that, maybe you say you have 7 of them. Maybe there's ones that you combine. So if you say kindness and graciousness, maybe you combine that to kindness, or maybe graciousness, maybe you combine it to one word. If they're kind of similar, maybe combine them to what you think reflects you the best. Really what happens then is your core values. You may say you like faith, that they're faithful or love the Lord. You may say all these different things about them. Maybe that's a core value of it. Then you're going to write down 4, ideally a max of 5, is my opinion, of really things that you elevate as primary cores, things that are very important to you, things that are not going to be negotiable in your life, things that you're always going to hold to. So it's true about you now. It can't be, you can always have aspirational values. You can say, I want to be more kind, and we should be. We'll get into that later. But who am I now? What are core values that I uphold? So if I tell somebody that a core value of mine is kindness, they should go, you're right, it is kindness. I can totally see that in you, right? You don't want it to be like kindness and you're never kind. They're like, yeah, okay, great core value. That's totally not true. It has to be true about you. So get judgmental. Maybe ask people, hey, am I kind? Do you really think I'm kind? Like, no. Okay, well then don't write kindness down. That can be an aspirational value later. You can go, I want to be more kind. Maybe that's a goal of yours in later life. But make sure it's true about you. This is really going to shape the rest of your kind of learning and your goal setting for your life, is understanding who you are as core. And I think we understand ourselves vaguely, but we never take the time to really go, this is really important to me, and I want to list it down. We just go, I like when people are nice, and you sort of kind of float through that, but it'll really help you in your decision making in the rest of your life by understanding that. Okay, so that's how we get to core values. So that was something you can work over the next month or so. Now, page 3, think about your core values as you go through the next section of this. So, what does success look like to me? What does it require or include? Be very specific. So we have financial, we have social, spiritual, family, business, and physical. Business or career, whatever you want. Now, if there is another category of your life that you think is missing there and you don't have a vision for it. So let's say, I'm trying to think, anybody have another, like, you know, there's obviously financials, usually big ones, social, like how do I interact with friends, how many friends do I have, what kind of friends do I have, like those type of things, do I hang out with friends at all, like what is the goal? Spiritual vision, your faith, your family vision, how does your family look and work and that? What does my career or business look like, and how do I look physically, or how am I physically? Where's my goal there? Is there any other ones anybody can think of?
Yeah, you have a coaching vision, right?
Yeah, but that would be more like career or personal probably.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah,
Maybe.
probably. Yeah, probably.
I think anything else can probably go in one of those.
I think anything else can probably go in one of those categories. If for some reason there is another thing that comes to you, you could write that down and write the vision for that. It's totally acceptable. I mean, just don't really want you to understand it. So, in the first line, the goals thing, don't worry too much about 90-day, 1 year, 3 year, 10 year, 20 year. Don't worry too much about that. That'll probably come later with your life. But I think it's a great way to look at it, because up here I said in 20 years I'm going to be X years. So maybe start long-term goals. Say, okay, in 20 years I'm going to be this old. What does that really look like for me financially? Okay, does that mean I'm retired? Does it mean I'm retired with this much in savings, this much in investing? Like, be very, very specific. Like, think very specific. I would love living my life if I was there, and this is what it looked like, and I had this income, and I had this, and this is what was happening. Get very specific on it. Do not be vague in these vision lines at all. And it can just be bullet pointed. This much cash, this much in the bank, this much in savings, this much income, doing this job, or that'd be a career later. You know, so just very specific, and do not be shy, and probably increase it from what you're thinking. We're talking financial, because whatever you shoot at, this is one thing I was thinking that I mentioned to some people, but thinking about it, and we've all heard this. You know, if you shoot at nothing, that's what you're going to get, or you might get something. You might get lucky once. You know, you might shoot at a field. But it's my vision of the kind of the idea I had is I was walking out into a field, and you just see this big field. There's like grass, and you have a nice gun, and you want to shoot it, and the first thing you do is you're like, the immediately thing you do is look for a target or something to aim at. And if there's just nothing, you just kind of like randomly shoot over the field, and maybe you'll get something, maybe you won't. But if you find, say, a stick or a target, that's kind of the accidental thing. It's like, oh, I'm gonna shoot at that stick, so you shoot at it, boom, 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 and you get it. But you could step back and you could say, I'm going to create a target, and I'm gonna put it out in the field, or I'm gonna put a bait pile for a deer to come in, or something very specific. Now you've created a target and you're shooting it. So that's your mindset, changing that, going, that's what I want. That's the vision aspect of what you're doing. Now you're actually aiming at something, and just by the sheer fact of putting this down, you've created yourself a target to actually shoot at and actually achieve. Because we have targets in our mind sort of floating around, like, eventually I'd like to own this beautiful cabin in the woods, or I would, you know, like to not starve, or you know what I mean? Like, just random things that happen in our mind, and we're like, yeah, let's totally get on board with that. But it's because we've seen it in some field somewhere. We're not shooting at it. We're just living our life and letting life just happen at us, and life just happens at us. And some of it we're happening and we're okay with it, and it's fine and it's okay. But it always has this for me at least, and I don't know how you guys are, I suspect, it always is a little bit unfulfilled. Like, you're just like, man, I know I could do more, or there's more in my life available. Financial, social, friendship, being intentional with friendships and your social life, spiritual life, family life, career, business, and physical, something I definitely want to work on. So we'll work with that. I would encourage you to fill out the 20-year goal on that and be very, very granular on it. So the financial vision aspect of what you see really should probably go down on your 20-year. Like, that should be kind of dropped down to there.